The Philadelphia Eagles are in unfamiliar territory, and let's be honest, nobody in Philly is taking it lightly. After a 34-17 loss to the New York Giants in Week 6, the city of brotherly love is feeling a whole lot more like the city of frustration. 2 straight losses, offensive struggles, and a growing chorus of critics asking one simple but loaded question: what happened to the Eagles' identity? If you're an Eagles fan, you know exactly what that means. This is a team that's prided itself on physical dominance, on running the football, on breaking defenses with that unstoppable brotherly shove. But lately, that signature power seems to have vanished. The team that once bullied opponents in the trenches suddenly looks hesitant, uncertain, and, according to many, predictable. Head coach Nick Sirianni took the podium after the loss, visibly frustrated but careful with his words. When asked about the offense becoming too predictable, Sirianni circled the question like a defensive back shadowing a receiver. He said, "Yeah, obviously anytime I think there were some good moments in the run game today. We got to do a good job of putting them in positions to succeed, and then you gotta go execute." It was the kind of answer that sounds calm on paper, but for Eagles fans listening, it didn't quite hit home. Because fans aren't looking for, "We'll look at everything." They're looking for action, for accountability, for fire. Former NFL linebacker Emmanuel Acho didn't hold back either. On social media, he broke down the film and called the Eagles' offense painfully predictable, pointing out that Philadelphia runs out of the same few formations, 3-by-1 and pistol, again and again, making it far too easy for defenses to read what's coming. If analysts like Acho can see that pattern from a studio, you can bet every defensive coordinator in the league is already salivating over it. Inside the locker room, frustration is brewing. Veteran right tackle Lane Johnson, one of the most respected voices on the team, didn't mince words. "You can game plan all you want," he told The Athletic, "but when you get in the game, a lot of it is making adjustments. We're not efficient in anything." That's not just a quote, that's a message. The offensive line, long considered one of the NFL's best, has struggled to impose its will. Defenses are anticipating the run, shooting gaps, and forcing Jalen Hurts into tough third-down situations. And that's where the ripple effect begins. When the Eagles' run game stalls, their entire offensive rhythm falls apart. The RPOs, those run-pass options that made them deadly in 2022, lose their bite. Hurts starts holding onto the ball longer, the pocket collapses, and suddenly, that confident offense looks unsure. It's a domino effect, and the Giants took full advantage. Speaking of the Giants, how about rookie quarterback Bo Nix? The former Oregon standout had what might be called his arrival moment. Against a veteran Eagles defense, he played with poise, hitting timely throws, extending drives, and showing flashes of what the Giants hoped for when they drafted him. It's a tough pill for Philadelphia to swallow. Getting outplayed by a first-year quarterback in a divisional game always stings. And yet, the spotlight remains squarely on Sirianni and his staff. Since taking over, Sirianni's record sits at an impressive 36-15, including a trip to the Super Bowl. But the whispers around the league are growing louder. Has his offense become too predictable? Is he stubbornly sticking to what worked 2 years ago, rather than adapting to the new reality of defenses that have studied him to death? Even offensive coordinator Brian Johnson has drawn fire for conservative play calling and slow in-game adjustments. Remember the Eagles' offense in 2022? It was electric, balanced, dangerous. Jalen Hurts was an MVP frontrunner, A.J. Brown was bullying cornerbacks downfield, and Devonta Smith was the perfect complement. The offensive line opened holes wide enough to drive a SEPTA bus through. Fast forward to 2025, and the magic seems to have dimmed. But here's the thing about Philadelphia. This city knows resilience. Fans remember 2017, the year of the underdog masks, the electric energy, the improbable Super Bowl run that ended with Nick Foles outdueling Tom Brady. That was a team built on toughness and belief, the same spirit that's still alive in the "Fly Eagles Fly" chant that echoes through Lincoln Financial Field. So when things get rough, this city doesn't turn away. It leans in. It demands better. Jalen Hurts, for his part, remains steady. People close to the team say he's laser-focused, working overtime to get the offense back on track. That's just who he is, stoic, composed, always leading by example. One assistant coach even told reporters, "Jalen doesn't panic. He recalibrates." That's the kind of leadership you need when the pressure starts to mount. And make no mistake, pressure is exactly what the Eagles are facing now. The next test? A trip to Minnesota to face the Vikings, and in a poetic twist, their quarterback is none other than Carson Wentz. Yes, the former Eagles franchise face, the man who once looked destined to be Philly's future, is now 2-1 as the Vikings starter. And you just know he's got this one circled in red on his calendar. It's not just another game, it's a chance for Wentz to make a statement. The storylines write themselves. Wentz versus his former team, Hurts versus the man he replaced, Sirianni fighting to prove the doubters wrong. If the Eagles are going to bounce back, it starts with rediscovering balance. They have the personnel. DeAndre Swift remains one of the league's most dynamic runners, and Kenneth Gainwell is capable of explosive plays if given the right opportunities. Combine that with Hurts' mobility, and the recipe for success is already in the kitchen. It just needs the right chef's touch. The defense, led by veterans like Fletcher Cox and young stars like Jalen Carter, has held its own despite being left on the field too long. But even they need help. Football, after all, is complementary. If the offense can't sustain drives, even the best defense will break down eventually. Still, it's not all doom and gloom. Philly has been here before. The NFC East remains wide open, and the Eagles' next few games are winnable if they can tighten up their execution. The question is whether they'll learn from these back-to-back losses, or let them snowball into something worse. One thing's for sure, fans aren't going anywhere. Philadelphia has one of the most passionate and loyal fan bases in all of sports. They live and breathe every snap, every tackle, every touchdown. And yes, they boo when things go wrong, but as one lifelong fan outside Lincoln Financial Field said, "We don't boo because we hate them. We boo because we care." That's the Philadelphia way. High standards. Fierce loyalty. This city demands excellence, not perfection, but heart, grit, effort. The same qualities that turned a team of underdogs into champions not so long ago. So as the Eagles regroup for Minnesota, the question isn't just about play calling or formations, it's about pride. About rediscovering that swagger, that relentlessness that once made this team the most feared in football. Because if there's one thing every Eagles fan knows deep down, it's this. No matter how bad things look, no matter how loud the critics get, this team can rise again. And when that moment comes, when "Fly Eagles Fly" roars through the night once more, Philadelphia will be ready. Loud, loyal, and believing all over again.